If you've ever been getting ready for an interview and you've thought about your current job and thought, how am I supposed to make this job sound interesting in an interview? Well, you're not alone. The truth is, what feels ordinary to you may be exactly what the interviewer needs to hear. Because in interviews, it's not always the standout projects that build trust. It's the small, steady things too, the systems you run, the habits that you've built, the way you keep things moving even when no one's watching and it's not so exciting. So today I want to help you reframe how you talk about your present role in your self-introduction and throughout your interview. So let's start with the mindset. Many candidates completely overlook their most valuable work, not because it isn't important, but because it just feels too routine, too quiet, too behind the scenes, too obvious. And when something feels obvious to us, we assume it's not worth mentioning. But here's what interviewers are often listening for and asking themselves. Are you reliable? Do you work with consistency? Can you manage systems that support a team? Do you show up? Because that's what they need you to bring to their team. So if your day-to-day work involves process, follow-up, coordination, or quiet leadership, don't leave it out. That's often what hiring managers find most valuable. Let's talk about how to structure what you say. You don't need to talk about everything you do in your current role. You only need to focus on what overlaps with the job you're applying for. Think about it like a Venn diagram. One circle is your current role. The other circle is the job you're targeting. And the magic happens in the overlap between those two. That's the part you want to highlight. So instead of saying, I'm currently a logistics coordinator at a regional warehouse, you could say, right now I coordinate delivery schedules across multiple cities. So when I saw that your team is looking for someone to manage regional timelines, that overlap really stood out to me. We're talking about the same job, but one version talks about tasks while the other one focuses on alignment. That's the difference. It's not about performing. It's about pointing to the parts of your current role that already match what the interviewer is looking for. One of the biggest shifts you can make in your self-introduction is to stop shrinking your experience before the interviewer has a chance to understand it. If your team depends on you, your work matters, even if it's routine, even if it doesn't sound exciting, even if you've done it for years. Because routines equal reliability, systems equal stability, and structure means leadership. When you describe your work, use language that shows ownership. So instead of saying something like, I just help manage reports, instead say, I'm responsible for keeping our financial records current across teams and making sure everyone has access to up-to-date dashboards. It's not bragging, it's accuracy. You're not inflating your current role, you're framing it so the interviewer understands what you bring. Here's another strategy that works really well when your role feels repetitive. Don't try to explain everything. Think about planting seeds in your self-introduction. One idea, one detail that hints at relevance. So you could say something like, I lead our weekly team check-ins and keep our project tracker updated. That's helped me stay on top of shifting priorities without ever dropping the ball. That's enough because now the interviewer knows you take initiative, you work with structure, you have experience in managing moving parts, and if they want to ask more, they'll ask. That's how you turn your self-introduction into a conversation, not a performance. Now let's talk about something that confuses a lot of candidates, but personally is one of my favorite topics, soft skills. You've probably heard that interviewers want to see communication skills, collaboration, flexibility, and it's true. But here's the thing, interviewers are not going to believe adjectives. They believe evidence. So avoid saying, I'm a strong communicator, and instead show it. You could say something like, I manage a shared inbox of incoming emails for the sales and operations team across 3 countries. That's really helped me stay clear and fast in my responses. That's what shows management, communication, organization. Don't just say, I'm great at teamwork. Instead, show it. I support 3 different managers and balance competing requests across departments. You don't need to label yourself. Just describe what you do clearly and calmly, and that's what earns trust. I want to leave you with a quote that I often come back to. Enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare. What makes you stand out? Consistency, clarity, showing up every day for your team. So if you've been telling yourself that your current role isn't exciting enough, pause. What you've built, the way you support your team, keep things running, and create order, that's what makes you someone worth hiring. You don't need to perform, you need to connect. And that connection starts with how you talk about the work you already do. So if this gave you something to reflect on, like this video, and subscribe if you're preparing for interviews and want to speak with more clarity, not just more English. And if you'd like one-on-one support, you can book a time with me using the link below. Wherever you are in your interview preparation, just know, clarity is something that you build, and you're already on the way.